part 3 of the breakout video. It might be worth, if you've done the breakout video, the third part could be to add another sprite, another image sprite. So when you touch that sprite, you either, you lose a life, you lose a score, or you lose a life. So the frog, I've just chosen a frog. Okay, no reason other than I just happen to have that picture. So you would drag. So what I'm going to do is, so it's going to look like that. I'm going to get rid of everything and then start again. Add your new image sprite. So this will be whatever you want it to be. So I've chosen the frog. So I click on the image sprite, choose frog, and click OK. I'm going to also rename it to frog. I'm going to change the speeds 30, something like that, so it's fairly fast. One other thing, in sensors clock, this is going to control how, almost like control the movement of the frog. So that's it, you have the clock and a new sprite. So you go back to the blocks. So this is what your blocks would look like. Now what we have to do, you can actually right click, collapse block, right click, collapse block. So when you start to get a lot of blocks, you can then just tidy it up a bit. So the first thing, I'm going to click on frog and then clock. Okay, and then I'm going to start adding the blocks of code that we saw in the last tutorials. I'm going to make a new procedure. So a procedure is like a little mini program. I'm going to drag that and I'm going to call this one something like update frog. Okay, and we're going to control how the frog moves, okay, by doing this. Okay, so you go to math, drag this block with the equals, and then just click where the equal sign is and do less than. Click back on math and you have the 0. Just plug that in there and change that to 0.2, and then back in math you have this random fraction. So that's the first part of the code. The second part is, if you click on frog, you have heading. Then you click back on maths and you need the random integer. So it goes from, say, 0 to 360. Now to put it all together, you have an if then statement. So you plug the bits in like that. Basically this means 20% of the time, okay, you're going to get a random number from 0 to 360. So it's the frog is going to just kind of move around the screen, sort of a random direction. Final thing is you click on clock. Okay, click on clock, click. Every time it ticks, now the clock is set to 1000. I'll change that to, say, 300. That's 300 milliseconds. So you can change the speed whatever you want. You could have 3000, you could have 30. I'll leave it at 300. So every time it ticks, something happens inside there. So what we're going to do is go into procedure and we're going to call update frog. So every kind of 300 milliseconds, this bit here is going to run. So those two kind of go together. So you could test that out, you could see whether that works, and hopefully your frog should start bouncing around the screen. Okay, so what will happen is your frog moves about the screen. Now the idea is, if it touches the moon rock, you lose 1 score. Okay, but the problem is, if the frog also touches the wall, it will also add a score. So in the blocks, where you've got here, so I'm going to right click and do expand, right click, expand. This now wouldn't work, because if whatever collides with wall 2 or whatever collides with wall 1, if the frog collides with it, you still get a score, which you don't want. You only want a score if the moon rock collides with it. So what you want is if the frog touches the moon rock, you lose 1 point. So if I go back to blocks, this one I've already done, but this is what you've got at the moment. So it will end up like this. So what you have, you go to control, you have if and then. So what you want to do is say, if the thing that collided with the wall is the moon rock, then do this bit of code. So you click on math, do the equals. Right, and this is where you put your mouse over where it says other. Just move it again, just drag that. Okay, and you're going to make other to equal to, click on moon rock, go down to the very bottom, and it's like that. Okay, and then you can drag all this stuff inside. So that will now mean that your score will only go up. This code here will only get called if it's the moon rock that has collided with the wall. Okay, now the final bit that you might want to then do is if the moon rock collides with the frog, then you kind of do the opposite. So you would actually want to lose a score. So you could go to moon rock and then do the same sort of thing actually. In fact, what you could do, right click, duplicate that code, and you want to say if the moon rock collides with the frog, then you're going to set, you could stop the game or you do all sorts of things, but for the moment you would just set the score to not +1 but go to math, -1. So what you would then have is actually now a game where you can your score can either go up, or if the frog touches the moon rock, it can go down. Just play around with the clock settings. Maybe you want to slow it down or speed it up. To slow it down, you add more zeros. Okay, and the same with the frog. You might just want to change the speed of the frog here. Okay, so it's just a matter of sort of trying it out. But that is, in under 8 minutes, how you then add the next level to your breakout game. Thank you.